Hello and welcome to A Little Crafting. My name is Annie and this is my podcast where I talk about all of the things that I have been making. Mostly that consists of knitting, spinning at the moment, some weaving sometimes, some yarn dyeing, some sewing and some embroidery. But I tend to pick up crafts as and when I feel like it. So other things pop in, and that's why I've got such a list of crafts that I take part in at the moment. You can find me on Instagram as a_little_crafting and on Ravelry as Ankiwoo if you'd like to follow me on social media. And today is February the 18th, 2024. I've got a good amount of proper sunlight today, but not too much, so it's the perfect conditions to record in. And I don't think I've recorded an episode since the start of January, so it has been a little while. But yeah, I've got a couple of big things coming up. So for example, next week is Unravel festival. That is a yarn festival in Farnham, which is near where I live in Surrey, and I'm going to be going there, and therefore I'll have quite a lot of acquisitions. That does mean that at the moment I don't have any acquisitions in terms of fibre crafts, just because I've been holding off until key time when I can go and squish some yarn and actually buy something. I also have a craft holiday week booked with my craft group. That is the week after, or the week starting the 1st of March I think, and therefore I'll be getting a lot done. So I thought I'd record before all of that happens, and then I can do an update afterwards to show you exactly how I've got on over the full week of crafting and also what acquisitions I got in Farnham. I'll start off with what I am wearing. This is the Altheda sweater by Jennifer Steingass. I knit this I think 2 years ago out of Plutalopi, which is an unspun Icelandic yarn. And I do really love the pattern. I think I probably knit this a little bit big, so if I stand up for you, you can see it's quite baggy, but it's one of my just cozy throw-on sweaters. I do find if I don't wear anything substantial underneath, I tend to get kind of a prickly feeling from this yarn, but I did really enjoy knitting with it. Personally, I would not knit colour work again in this yarn, just because I found it a lot harder to prevent it from snapping. But it is very affordable, and it's very, very warm because it's from those Icelandic sheep. And the colour options are enormous as well, so there's loads of colours you can choose from. So I'd probably use it again for either a texture or a striped garment, but in terms of keeping my attention for stranded colour work, it was a little bit tricky for this yoke section. I have very much enjoyed Jennifer Steingass's patterns over time, so I have quite a few already knit, but then I've also got a few in my queue as well. So I'll be knitting a few more over the years, I imagine, too, in different yarns. And it's just, she's just got an array of very nice colourwork yokes and other colourwork patterns that I'm quite drawn to in general. So yes, that is what I am wearing today. I have 2 finished objects, so that's pretty good for me in general. Usually I'll only have 1 in an episode. So if you've been watching my recent episodes, you'll know that I started a grow hat by Fibre Tales some time ago in Hampshire DK by the Grey Sheep company. They will be at Farnham next week. I did run out of yarn before finishing that hat, but I will purchase another 50-gram skein from them so that I can finish it off. But then I swiftly cast on another one, which is out of Les Garçons British DK in the Chris Pines green colourway, and I have finished that one. So I think you can't quite see the details as much as on the Hampshire DK for this one, but I'm really loving the hat anyway. This took under 100 grams. I know that because I've still got a little bit left over. I did make quite a thick double brim. That is partly because I really like my ears to be nicely covered with a hat nowadays. I get quite cold ears in the wind, and yeah, in general, very enjoyable knit. I think that the detail is just very fun. It's basically a cable style pattern, and then you knit the stitches together, or you increase, then you cable, then you knit stitches together to create the little leaf patterns on the trees. And yeah, that's a really nice pattern. I am gonna, like I said, make a pom-pom for the top, so that we've got a nice bobble hat in this yarn. And yeah, I really enjoyed the yarn overall. The only thing I do loathe a little bit is that it's obviously yarn or fibre from Britain, so it's a Massam and BFL blend, if I recall correctly. I'll double check that and put it in the notes. So it's obviously milled here and then sent to Canada to be dyed, and then comes back here, and then I buy it. So it feels like it's travelled a little bit more than I would like, but it is local-ish fibre, and then it's just dyed in a different country. And I do like the Le Garçon colourways as well. They're great. I love this. This colour green is gorgeous, and I was very much looking for a green hat, so this worked super well for that. And that is FO number 1. Number 2 is Same But Different by Cheryl Faust in some Handspun hedgehog fibres from their club colourways. I don't know if it had a name or anything like that. And this is the cowl all finished. So I used a contrast colour of Goeland, which is Dererum Natura Ulysse, which works really well with my handspun because typically my handspun ends up being sport weight, so it fits quite well. I also have a lot of Ulysse because I use it to weave with, so that works perfectly for me. So the handspun is very variegated, I suppose, so it does change colour quite rapidly, which means that this section in the middle here was actually quite muted, which I think is a bit of a shame. Maybe I should have gone for a cream instead to really have those colours pop. But overall I really like it, and it's actually turned out a lot bigger than I expected, and I like the fact that it shows off lots of different colours together, especially this section here. I like the little gradient that I've got going on there. So yeah, this was a really nice project. It's mosaic colour work, quite simple. You actually knit it in a triangle and then you seam it at the back, so it's a little bit like knitting a shawl. And mosaic colour work just seems to work really well with something like a colour changing handspun like this overall. So yeah, I'd use a different colour base next time is pretty much my summary, but overall I enjoyed it. The cowl actually came out much bigger than I expected as well, probably because of my own tension. I'm a very loose knitter, and I don't know if I did a gauge swatch. I think I just started and carried on, but that's fine. I didn't run out of yarn at all. I had enough, and I'm happy with the result. This will be really nice and cozy over a coat, just to kind of pop over my head. Yeah, really nice pattern in general, very well written as well, so overall lots of stars from me. Let's get on to works in progress. So I am still chugging along on one of my sweater knits. This is in my antler and acorn bag, no longer available, but she does have other styles. That's on Etsy as well. And the first one is my Stalactite sweater by Camille Roselle. And this is in Liner magazine number 4, I think. So quite an old edition. And it is going well. I've separated for the sleeves. I'm not sure if I had done that last time, and I've knit a little bit further. This isn't my priority at the moment, so I'm just picking it up now and then. What I am finding super hard is I don't feel the pattern in Liner magazine from issue 4 is very well written or laid out. So I really love the pattern and the way that it works, but I'm really having to adjust things, guess things. So for example, it told me that I had to knit another 7 rows, I think, of the base colour here. And I just thought, well, that's silly, because then all of the gaps are going to be different between the stalactite motif. So I just went and did things my own way. The pattern itself is just a bit confusing, that's all. So I'm not sure if that's because it's a printed pattern and they probably made some changes afterwards to improve it. But yeah, I'd be tempted also to buy it if it wasn't a reasonable cost. So for, you know, if it was a £5, I'd definitely buy the pattern direct from the designer just to have it. But because I already own the pattern, I feel it's a bit silly to spend sort of £10 to £15 GBP to actually get a pattern that I already own. I'm overall happy with how it's looking. I tried it on, the fit was pretty good, and yeah, the raglan's nice. The actual stitch pattern is really interesting, and not too complex. So I'm generally getting on pretty well with it. Just again, the pattern isn't great. This I am knitting out of Cascade 220. This is some old deep stash that I had, but I bought it specifically for this sweater. This colourway is, let's double check, 8836. That's the kind of dark blue grey, and I have no idea on the ecru colour. I just found it again and assumed it was Cascade 220 from my Wintersol sweater that I knit some time ago. But you can probably find a standard ecru in Cascade 220 nowadays anyway. This is probably the second batch of sweaters quantity yarn that I bought, because the first one, oh no, it'd be the third sweaters quantity of yarn that I bought. And that would have been several years ago. So I'm glad I'm finally using it. And this will be a really lovely cozy sweater. It's actually got a roll neck when you finish up the neckline, and yeah, overall enjoying it. The other reason I would probably like a digital pattern is that I'm constantly having to look up what I'm doing in a physical book, which means it kind of sits around my lounge and gets moved around onto the coffee table, onto the armchair, onto wherever I happen to be knitting, and it just is a little bit annoying to do that, because I have everything else on my iPad. I can just use one thing for everything except for this project, which I think is also why I'm being a bit slower. I'm finding it a bit harder to reference a book than a pattern in digital form. But yeah, overall good. Just criticising the pattern a little bit, might be me, but I'm getting a little confused and fudging it myself. So that is that one. Another knit that I am working on is a brand new cast on, actually, but I promised my mum that I would make her a slipover, because she was talking about the fact that there are lots of them in the shops and it seems very fashionable at the moment, and it's going to be easier to knit her one than a sweater, and I quite enjoy knitting them when I've knit a couple for myself. So This is going to be the Friday Slipover by Petite Knit, and this has a lovely broken rib texture, which should be really nice. I've only recently cast this on. This is the top of the back at the moment, and then what I'm doing is increasing a little bit, and then I'll be picking up for the front two shoulders from here. So the back will actually be at the top, so that will be the neck back. I am knitting this in light grey because that was what was requested from my mum. I knit her a sweater in light grey a couple of years ago as well, so she's not going off trend. I'll have to ask her next time if she can pick a more interesting colour. But this is in filcolana pernilla, which is supposed to be DK weight. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and this is the colour 957. Filcolana Arwetta I have knit with before. I knit in exactly this same colour for my mum's previous sweater in the fingering weight yarn. So it's incredibly affordable and it's really lovely yarn, and I'm really happy to be using it again, to be honest. I am not sure this is DK weight. To be honest, I was surprised I got gauge as expected. I tend to have to go down 1 whole millimetre of needle size, and I did that and I got gauge on my swatch, which was fantastic. But I think this is more of a sport weight. It doesn't matter really because I'm still getting gauge, but it just seems quite fine compared to what I would consider a standard DK weight yarn, especially when I'm comparing it to things like the Les Garçons British DK. It's quite different. Yeah, and I'm getting on well with this so far. What I'm trying to do is get onto the body by the time I go away for my craft week. That's so that I don't have to be fiddling around with anything like increases and short rows whilst I'm knitting when I'm there, because I want to have this done for my mum's birthday on the 23rd of March, and I won't be able to see her that week, I don't think. So ideally before that. So yeah, my plan is to knit monogamously for now on this. I'll probably switch around things on actual craft week, but I want to get this done. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, so that's why I'm gonna try and just finish off until I've got the body done. But yeah, it's another Petite knit pattern. I've knit quite a few of hers now, including my mum's original sweater, which was also based off the what's it called, the very basic sweater pattern that she has, but I modified it to give it some texture and some other stitch patterns that my mum wanted. So yeah, I hope it works out well. I hope it fits her well, but let's see how it turns out, and fingers crossed the yarn will wear quite well as well. Highly recommended as a yarn in general for filcolana overall. Very nice yarns and very affordable in general. So yeah, that is in my Clara Rose Crafts bag. It's an Alice in Wonderland one. That's it for the knitting, I think. Yes. So moving on to spinning next. So I haven't been doing a huge amount of spinning because I have been trying to do a bit more knitting recently, but I have been continuing with my 100 days of spindle spinning, which Andrea Mary and a friend of hers kicked off. I can't remember what day we're on now. I've been spinning every day since the 1st of December. It's entirely possible we've got to 100. No, it can't be. We'll get to 100 in mid-March, I think. So almost there. But I decided for the latest spindle spin to crack open my 2023 World of Wool advent calendar and start spinning on that. I gave away day 1 because it contained mohair, but I am spinning my day 2 at the moment. Here we go. So this one is from tradition origin in the Philippines, merino and Tussar silk, and it's this really gorgeous turquoise green blended colour. There you go. So that's kind of what the fibre looks like, and I am spinning this on a Turkish spindle, which is like a cross spindle. So that is what it's looking like on the turtle at the moment. So this will create a centre pull ball that I can ply from, and I'll ply that on my spinning wheel just because it's a little bit easier to do. So yeah, still enjoying this. This has got quite a bit of a halo. It's quite a fluffy yarn that I'm creating here, but the colours are absolutely beautiful. And I'm consistently enjoying spinning on my spindle every day. It's definitely taught me a lot. I've got a lot thinner in terms of my spinning, and more consistent, I think. And I do just really enjoy the way that this spins. This is a Turkish spindle from Tine and Floyd in the UK. This one's 48 grams. Obviously, as I add fibre to the spindle, it will get heavier. And it's Babinga for the cross section and maple for the main shaft. So yeah, very much enjoying spinning on that. I haven't got any brand new skeins. I've got 50 grams of this to spin. I'm not sure if I will do all of it on the spindle, but I will see how I get on. I've got a lot of spinning to do. It takes a very long time to spin on a spindle. So yeah, that's one of my spinning goals at the moment, is to carry on with that. And then the other thing is I wanted to spin up some fibre so that I can knit myself a cowl, because we're potentially going skiing in March. It depends on the ski conditions over the next few weeks. It'll be exactly a month, in a month's time, that we'll go. So keeping an eye out. My husband and I did it last year where we booked a last minute trip. That was great. So we're going to aim to do the same thing. Otherwise we'll do something else that week. But I really wanted a kind of tighter cowl for skiing, so that it's really kind of against my neck and keeping me nice and warm. And I have a pink ski jacket, so it had to be pink. A friend of mine actually bought me this fibre for Christmas. Oh no, it was for my birthday actually, for my birthday in October. And it is from Wonderful Wool, and it is a linen blend, so super fine merino, silk and flax and some baby alpaca. And I'll see if I've got a picture of the braid and just pop it in here as well, but this is how the skein of yarn has come out. So it's got lots of orange and pink in it, and the flax, because the flax won't have taken up the same dye, is slightly white, and that looks really cool. Looks kind of tweedy. So yeah, this should go really well with my skiing outfit. So what I'll be doing next, as soon as I can, is winding this up, calculating how many yards I have, and starting my cowl. This is going to be another knit for Craft Week. It's going to be a super simple garter stitch. Really garter stitch? No, it might be stockinette. Super simple stockinette cowl in this yarn. And I am still very much enjoying spinning, but I'm also trying to pivot over to the knitting and realising that I have a lot of yarn as I look around my room here that I should really use. So yeah, there's going to be possibly a bit of more of a thoughtful approach to spinning this year, as in I spin and then I use it, rather than spinning loads and loads of yarn and it just sitting in a bag that I've got over there without being used. I've asked this before, but if you have any recommendations for patterns to knit with Handspun, let me know. I've bought quite a few Andrea Mari ones to knit that I think will work quite well, including the Traveller Cowl, which I have some Handspun already in mind for. So yeah, that is my spinning situation at the moment. The last thing that I have to show you is where I am with my stitch along. This is a potion stitch along. I am doing a temperature gauge for every day. What I'm doing is calculating the average daily temperature from my dad's weather station. He lives he and my mum live not far from where I live. And it is a pattern by Teeny Weeny Cross Stitch on Etsy. I'll link to that pattern below. But here I am with what I've got so far. So hopefully you can see that quite clearly. Let me hold it down here so you can also see me. So I've done January and I'm partway through February. I've got to do 2 more days just for this weekend. That I will stitch up later. I've also got to do a bit more shelf, but I get a bit stuck in with doing the potion bottles and then give up on the shelf because it's a little bit more boring. But yeah, in general, doing pretty well, keeping up, which is important because I don't want to get too far behind and then have to catch up, because then it feels like much more of a chore. And January was quite varied if you have a look at the colour range. So this pink is actually the lowest range of colour that I have. It's under 0 degrees. And then it actually went up to green, which is my medium colour range. And that is, can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's over 8.4 degrees. And this last week, or on Thursday, we had a yellow day, which is over 12 degrees, I think. So that was quite a hot day relative to the rest of the year so far. But yeah, generally enjoying it still. When I don't have much time and I've got a large potion bottle to do, I tend to take my time a little bit with it, and it feels a bit more like a chore, just because it's not as quick as the smaller ones. But I'm pleased I'm keeping up with it. I'm really trying to do it every day. And yeah, it doesn't take me long, you know, maximum half an hour probably to do one of the smaller potion bottles, a little bit longer for the larger ones. And I'm filling in the corks and things like that as I go. So it's just that I don't want to stitch 2 stitches for a cork and then cut the thread already at that point. I was pulling my thread across and I decided to stop doing that because it was making a mess and I was catching it and I was ending up with loads of mess at the back, and it's been much neater since. So I'm pleased I decided that. I'm keeping everything on bobbins. It's all DMC threads, and I'm getting on really well, essentially. Looking forward to having February all done, which should be soon. They have handily included a leap year option for February, as we do have a leap year this year. So the leap year has 1 extra bottle, as you can imagine, because 1 extra day in February. So yeah, pretty good. Enjoying it still. It does mean I have had no time to do any other cross stitch or embroidery at the moment, but I will be taking an embroidery project with me to Craft Week, in case I feel like putting aside the knitting for a little bit of time and picking up some embroidery. So yeah, that's how it goes. I also got this clip frame. It's just one of the So Easy frames. It's just plastic, but it clips in place. That's partly because I was having to move my small hoop across quite often, And I think this is nice because it allows us to see the whole lot in one go, up to a certain point. I've also got quite a lot of Ada to manage down the bottom here. So yeah, so overall enjoying how it's looking, enjoying it still, even though sometimes it feels a bit like something I have to do every day and I don't necessarily want to. I'm giving myself permission to skip the occasional day, but I tend to not allow myself to skip more than 2, especially if they're larger bottles. So it depends on, you know, the situation, because it's easy to catch up on smaller ones, it's harder to catch up on large ones. And yeah, overall enjoying it, already thinking about ways that I can make it more informative as a data visualization next year. But I'll see if I have the energy after doing 2024, and I will probably put a frame around it, so do some stitching around the edge, just something quite simple, and then have the key and the year at the bottom when I'm done, because I've got extra room at the bottom. But yeah, that's how it is going. I will catch you up on next month's progress. And that's pretty much it in terms of my crafting right now. I will catch you up on what I buy after Unravel, and also what I've been knitting over the next few weeks. But otherwise, have a lovely crafty time. I hope you get some time to rest over the next few weeks, and as it comes into spring, enjoy the world outside, because it is quite nice at the moment. And I will speak to you soon. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.